Hello everyone, my name is Joseph and welcome back to the Popsicleknight channel. This video is sponsored by PTCGLstore.com, a great place for you to buy Pokemon TCG code cards. Please remember to use my code NIGHT22 at checkout so that you can get a 5% discount. Thank you guys so much for your support and for your supporting PTCGLstore.com. In today's video, I'll be showcasing Magnezone EX from the Scarlet and Violet expansion set, and we'll be using the Orbeetle engine. Magnezone EX has an awesome 330 HP, making it very difficult to get knocked out. It has two attacks. The first one is Energy Crush, and we'll be using this attack more often. For just one lightning energy, this attack deals 50 damage times the number of energies your opponent has in play. So just to put it to perspective, if your opponent has 6 energies in play, this attack deals 300 damage. And with 7 energies, you're pretty much one hit knocking out any Pokemon in the game. Its second attack is Pulse Launcher. For 2 lightning energy, it deals 220 damage, but it deals 30 damage to itself. The damage output is really great because it's just enough to knock out most basic Pokemon V or EX in the game. And this is a great alternative attack since it doesn't rely on your opponent's energies in their deck. Magnezone EX is a stage 2, so to set it up, we'll be utilizing Orbeetle with the Evomancy attack. Depending on how many energies are attached on Orbeetle, you can search your deck for that many stage 2 Pokemon and put it straight to your bench. Orbeetle though is a high risk, high reward setup, and by focusing on Orbeetle as the main engine, the probability of winning a game greatly depends on how well you can have Orbeetle to set up all of your stage 2 Pokemon on your bench. And majority of the times we'll be starting the game with Blipbug to evolve into Orbeetle. Thankfully though, we also have this Luxray with the explosiveness ability. When you're just setting up to play at the beginning of the game, if this card is in your hand, you can actually start with this as your active Pokemon just as you would normally with a basic Pokemon. And this attack is very useful. For just one colorless energy, Seeking Fang not only deals 50 damage, but you can also search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards and put them into your hand. With this attack, you can find the cards you need to help evolve your Orbeetle. And if you happen to get behind on prize at the beginning of the game, you may even be able to use the reversal energy on Orbeetle so that you can have access to 3 energies right away. But we also have access to double turbo energy to act as 2 energies when you need it. So once we've set up our Orbeetle, we can now put multiple stage 2 Pokemon into play. It is important to note however that your stage 2 Pokemon must be in the deck for Orbeetle to set it up, which is why Iono is an important support card for this build. The best combination that I found for Magnezone EX are with these Pokemon. We don't really need that much Pokemon because Magnezone EX is very self-sustaining. First though, I have GARGANACL with the Blessed Salt ability. Every Pokemon checkup that is in between every turn, each of your Pokemon heals 20 HP. I just thought it would be fun to add this for extra healing, especially when we use Magnezone EX's second attack that damages itself. Second is Gallade with its Buddy Catch ability, allowing you to search your deck for one supporter card and put it into your hand. And third is Beautifly for its Stoke Straw ability, which allows you to draw cards until you have 6 in your hands. This is great for drawing into your energies. With all of these Pokemon working together, Magnezone EX become very difficult to beat. Just keep in mind that if your HP gets low, just use Cheryl to full heal your evolution Pokemon. And since Magnezone EX does not have any abilities, we can safely utilize Path to the Peak Stadium. This may just slow down your opponent's build tremendously, especially when they're dependent on using abilities. While it can be quite a challenge to use Orbeetle, if you are successful in your stage 2 setup though, your Magnezone EX can deal some serious damage while surviving a lot of damage from your opponent's attacks. Anyways, that's pretty much it. You can find the complete deck list in the description below. And now please enjoy the following gameplay videos showcasing Magnezone EX. Alright, very nice. We win the coin flip. We are going first. And let me just inspect the board. We're going to start with the Luxray. And I think I will take this hand. We do have an energy to power up Luxray's attack. And that's my rule of thumb. If I start with a Luxray, as long as I have an energy and perhaps a Pokemon Search card, I think that's a good start. And if you didn't know, you can actually take that mulligan. You can reshuffle your hand back to the deck if you choose to. You don't really have to start with a Luxray in your active. We got a Mesagoza from our top deck, so we're gonna go ahead and search. First thing we gotta do is set up our Blipbug on our very first turn. We got Tails though, but we do have an Ultra Ball. I think it's very essential to set up your Blipbug on your very first turn. So I will just go ahead and discard these two. Gallade is really good, but I can recover that if I need to. And I still have a few Ionos in the deck. So I'll go ahead and set up my Blip Bug, put this energy on Luxray, and go ahead and end our turn. So my opponent's gonna start with a Koraidon EX in the active spot. Okay, so my opponent's actually hitting for weakness against our Magnezone EX, so that could be a troublesome. And they also have Squawkabilly, which is a great Pokemon with its ability to discard its entire hand, and then they can draw 6. That's a great way to discard energies, basic fighting energies, and then Koraidon EX can just accelerate those to end their turn. But they're also using Ting-Lu EX, which has an ability to turn off our abilities, the Pokemon that have damage counters on them. But we have a few counters against their Ting-Lu EX though. We have Path to the Peak, we can turn off its ability, as well as GARGANACL. So even though they spread damage counters, we can heal them back up. So we're gonna go for a Holucha with the Mesagoza and put 1 damage counter on our Blip Bug, but they don't have any energies on their other Pokemon just yet, so we are gonna survive a turn here. And the cards we have in our hand is actually the essential cards that I like to start with. And if my opponent manages to knock out our Luxray, that's gonna discard that basic energy, setting up for our right hand. We can use that to accelerate extra energy to Blip Bug and perhaps find the card that we need. First of all, we need an Orbeetle, but it would be better if we can find it with Mesagoza and then just get a reversal energy with our right hand. That way we can at least set up to 4 stage 2 Pokemon on our bench on our first turn, or our second turn. So that's the ideal start. My opponent's also using Alakazam, Radiant Alakazam, to move damage counters around, which could be very troublesome, so we gotta watch out for that. But they can't attack right now. For the most part, I think they're just gonna use their Koraidon EX's Dino Cry, and they're just gonna accelerate basic fighting energies to both their Ting-Lu EX. So they just need 1 more energy to attack with it. We pulled a Garganacle, which is not ideal. Again, we want those in the deck so that we can set those up. So for now, we can try our chance with Mesagoza, maybe get an Orbeetle. One thing I fear though is if they have Escape Rope, push back our Luxray, and they just knock out our Blip Bug. We got Tails from our Mesagoza though, but we have a second chance on our next turn. But we can always just guarantee it by searching out that trainer card with this Luxray. So I'm just gonna attack with Seeking Fang, and I'm gonna go for Arven. But I think I'll just go for the Ultra Ball. It's a lot better. That way I can secure an Orbeetle for next turn, and Path to the Peak is gonna turn off my opponent's abilities. And that could go a long way actually. Prevent them from doing anything else. So we have Rare Candy in our hand already. So I think I'll just go with the Ultra Ball, because we can only use 1 support card per turn. So using the Ultra Ball to get Orbeetle, we have Rare Candy. We can turn off their abilities with Path to the Peak. And I think that's the best they could do right now, is to just knock out our Luxray. Unless they have a Boss's Orders on hand. They have 3 cards in their hand, so what are the chances that they'll have an Escape Rope or something to push back our Luxray, and then our Blip Bug gets knocked out? Even then, we could just reset up another Blip Bug. That's always you just have to continue to push for that setup. And I think Orbeetle, it's not as consistent as some, but when you're dealing with a lot of stage 2 builds, I think it's great to have, because you could just instantly set up those stage 2s that you would otherwise have to take multiple turns to set up. But with Orbeetle, you can actually set up a bunch of stage 2s on your second or even third turn. So my opponent did knock out our Luxray, so that now we can use our right hand. We keep getting Tails with this Mesagoza, man. It's not good. But anyways, with the right hand, we can accelerate that energy that was discarded. Now we can get our reversal energy, and thankfully we got that Ultra Ball thanks to Luxray. we can now guarantee an Orbeetle here, as well as 4 stage 2s because we are behind on prizes. Now reversal energy will take effect. But first, let's go ahead and recover our right hand. This is actually, that could help us out to energize our Magnezone in the long run. So let's go ahead and evolve our Orbeetle with 4 energies attached and Path to the Peak to slow down my opponent. We're just gonna go ahead and use Evomancy, and we're just gonna get 2 Magnezone EX, 1 Garganacle, and I think Beautifly is going to work. I like how minimalistic this Magnezone EX build is. Magnezone EX is just really self-sustaining. All it needs is 1 energy to attack, basically, and just tank a bunch of hits. So this Ting-Lu EX is weak against grass. That's the thing, and it's hitting for 150 damage, which is gonna hit for 300 damage against our Magnezone EX. Not enough to knock it out, but I did see Grant on their discard pile, so they could use that. And if they increase their damage, they could just continue to knock out our Magnezone EX. They're gonna retreat though into their other Ting-Lu, and they're gonna use Land Scoop to knock out our Orbeetle. Okay, despite our resistance to fighting, it's still enough to knock out our Orbeetle. They will put 2 damage counters on Magnezone EX, but that's okay. Garganacle is just going to heal that back up. And so, with enough energies in play, I think we could get a knockout here for a single energy. We even got an Iono from our top deck. That is insane. So, let's go ahead and use that. Have my opponent shuffle their deck, or their hand, and draw 4. We got our energies, which is awesome. Might as well put our Panic Mask. Maybe that will slow them down in the long run, because we would be able to survive an attack, I think, next turn. And for the meantime, I will try and set up another Orbeetle in case we lose a lot of stage 2s. And we're just gonna attack here. 300 damage is enough to knock out their Ting-Lu EX for our first 2 prizes. Very good. So with 6 energies in play, 300 damage, dealt a huge amount of damage. But that also lessens the amount of energies they have in play. So with 3 energies, we're only dealing 150 damage on their Ting-Lu EX. And this one has Bravery Charm, which increases their HP because it's a basic Pokemon. Now we have to contend with 290 HP. Minus 20, that's 270. We have to hit for at least 270 damage. So they're setting up another Ting-Lu EX. Let's see what's the best option here. Magnezone EX has a huge amount of retreat cost too, so it is a little bit difficult to retreat. And they're gonna attack with Ting-Lu EX, dealing 300 damage, but not quite enough to knock out our Magnezone. And they're gonna put 2 damage counters on Garganacle without the Path to the Peak that actually turns off Garganacle's ability. So let's see what we could do. It's weak to grass. I could attack with Beautifly. I can actually use the reversal energy. Garganacle only deals 130 damage, so we could hit for 140 with Beautifly, right? Yeah, but I mean, I could use that to attack, and then we're only losing 1 prize if they knock it out. Let's go ahead and try for Mesagoza. Maybe we can get another Orbeetle line going here. We got Tails though. I can't use Pulse Launcher, so because if that damages me, it's just gonna knock me out. So I have no other choice but to use Energy Crush, and with 4 energies, we dealt 200 damage to their Ting-Lu EX. So if they knock out our Magnezone, we can. They're gonna get 2 prizes. We can attack with Beautifly, and if they knock it out, they still need 1 more prize after that. But if they have a boss and they have the means to knock out our other Magnezone EX. They can just get the 4 prizes. So let's see how this plays out. Okay, they get Tails for Mesagoza. And they're gonna attack. There it is. They're a knockout against our Magnezone EX, and they're gonna continue to add damage counters to our Garganacl, making it seem impossible for us to fully heal our Garganacl. But we do have copies of Cheryl in this deck, so we can full heal that, but no way to find it right now. So I'm just gonna use right hand to energize my Magnezone. That way we have an option to attack for 220 damage if we need to. And I'm gonna go ahead and use Path to the Peak. That way we can heal with our Garganacl. And just gonna use Energy Crush. That way I'm not putting damage counters to my Magnezone EX, because they can just knock it out even with Ting-Lu EX dealing 300 damage. But as of right now, they don't have any energies on their Pokemon, so I feel safe about this situation right now. Unless they have a bunch of Gutsy Pickaxe to accelerate energies, but they'll have to hope that their top deck or top card is an energy, but it was just a Pokemon. So we are looking good. I think we are looking good here. They have a Holucha, but we're just gonna heal that up with Garganacl, so no sweat there. And with that, Path to the Peak is actually helping us out, because now their Koraidon EX is not able to accelerate those energies to their Pokemon either. But without enough energies though, we're not dealing enough damage. But that's why the 2 energies on Magnezone EX is pretty important. They're gonna use Escape Rope though. I'm just gonna put Beautifly in the active spot. We do have a switch in our hand, so I think we're looking good here. But we're not dealing enough damage to deal a knockout on any of their Pokemon. And looks like they're just gonna pass. No energies is being accelerated thanks to our Path to the Peak. So we're just gonna switch out to our Magnezone, and we're gonna slowly just build up our Orbeetle line here. And gonna try and power it up, just in case, right? And we're just gonna use Pulse Launcher to deal 220 damage to their Ting-Lu EX. 30 recoil damage, but we're gonna heal 20 thanks to our Garganacl's Blessed Salt ability. So I think this is pretty much game, unless they can retreat their Ting-Lu EX. They have a boss's orders, and they're gonna trap us in the active. I can use Double Turbo Energy. Okay, we might take another turn here. I can use Energy Search. It requires 3 energies to retreat, so I can just attach this, and then on our second turn, or our second turn after this, I can use Double Turbo Energy to retreat. But let me go ahead and just thin out my hand. Maybe we can use our Beautifly. Dude, we got an Arven. Let's see if we have a switch. There it is! We got a switch! That's game, man. Let's not stall any further. I just finished this up, knocking out their Ting-Lu EX for game. Despite our disadvantage, we won that game, no sweat. So yeah, there you have it, guys. Magnezone EX with Orbeetle. Very nice game. So my opponent wins the coin flip, and they've decided to go first. I prefer going first though, because setting up your basic Pokemon on your first turn, although you can't attack, you can pretty much ensure their safety, just because your opponent doesn't have any major setup yet. The Lost Box is pretty aggressive though, so that's the only one that I'm kind of scared of. So let's go ahead and inspect our board here. We're gonna start with a Luxray, but I have a Double Turbo Energy. I'd rather have a basic energy. So I think I will take the mulligan here. And if you guys didn't know, you can actually reshuffle your Luxray back to the deck and draw again. And you can continue to keep doing this, but just keep in mind that if you do have a basic Pokemon, you will have to play that hand. So I think I will take this one. We have a basic energy, and that's pretty much what I'm looking for. And also a Pokemon search card. You can use Magnezone and hope for a Blipbug. And that's pretty much my setup. And on my second turn onwards, I'm basically hoping that my opponent knocks out Luxray, that discarding that basic energy. And what we're going to look for is a Raihan to accelerate that energy into our Blipbug or Orbeetle once we've set it up. So again, a lot of people have looked down on Orbeetle. It's just they get intimidated with the setup, but if you manage to get through that first phase, I think this engine is pretty cool. And you can set up as early as turn 2 or on turn 3. But my opponent is going to start with a bunch of Ralts, and they also have Zacian V, so this is what looks to be a Gardevoir EX matchup. And we can hope that they will stack a bunch of energies, and Magnezone EX can deal a lot of damage against this matchup for sure. We got a Raihan from our top deck, so we have majority of the things that we need already in our very first turn. So let's go ahead and use Magnezone and hope for heads here. Alright, cool. So now we can set up our Blipbug. And then attach the Vitality Band. This is actually going to get us a knockout here against their Ralts. So Seeking Fang will deal 60 damage. And then we can search for 2 trainer cards. See what we need here. We have Rare Candy. We can guarantee an Orbeetle with Ultra Ball. And then I'm going to go for Path to the Peak. If my opponent does not bump out this Path to the Peak, got a basic Lighting Energy, which is pretty awesome. We can attach that to our Blipbug. But Path to the Peak is going to help us shut down their build, basically. First of all, it's going to turn off Zacian V's ability. And if my opponent does not evolve into a Gardevoir EX this turn, they're not going to be able to use its ability to accelerate extra psychic energies to their Pokemon. So I think our play is pretty good. We are ahead in price though, so that is going to affect the way we use or move forward from this point, because obviously the reversal energy is not going to take effect. So we might have to utilize the double turbo energy on Orbeetle. That way we can increase the energies attached and set up more than 3 or even up to 4 stage 2 Pokemon at the outset. So my opponent evolves into a Gardevoir EX. They can definitely accelerate energies at this point. They get Tails on their Magnezone. What they could do here is accelerate energies, use Gardevoir EX to attack, or vice versa. They could also use a switch and attack with Zacian V. Okay, Psychic Embrace to accelerate energies. Put 2 damage counter each time they attach an energy. And that's actually a bad thing with Gardevoir too, because it actually makes it a lot easier for us to knock it out with all those damage counters on it. So let's see what my opponent does here. I don't think they have enough energies in the discard pile, so they're just gonna retreat, probably accelerate those energies onto Zacian V and knock out our Luxray maybe. I don't think they're dealing enough damage though. Wait, why are they putting 1 energy to Gardevoir EX? Okay. They have Arven. Maybe they have another way to get another energy. Okay, so it looks like they're just setting up another Gardevoir line. Bravery Charm on Zacian V, increasing his HP. And they're just gonna end their turn by using Roar of the Sword to accelerate an energy to their Zacian V. Okay, that's a very interesting move. Either way, our setup would have been fine by even if they knocked out our Luxray, we would have been okay. Let me go ahead and use Mesagoza first. We don't have to use Ultra Ball. We got Tail, so we will have to use Ultra Ball here. And I'm gonna set up a secondary Blip Bug just in case, because we don't have enough energies on our Blip Bug anyways. So I'll just deal some chip damage with this Luxray, 60 damage. And we pretty much have everything we need here, but just gonna see if I can use Boss's Orders to maybe stall or something, or target one of their Gardevoir EX in the bench. But I'm gonna go for Path to the Peak just in case they bump out our current stadium. That way we can continue to disable their abilities. So I think we're looking good here. Again, Zacian V is the only one that has potential to deal a one-hit knockout. So first and foremost, we might have to take out the Zacian V. But secondly, we will have to take out that Gardevoir EX to prevent them from accelerating any more energy. So there's the knockout against our Luxray. That's going to allow us to use Raihan at this time. But we have equal amounts of energies, so reversal energy will not take effect here. So instead, what we're going to do is just grab a double turbo energy from our deck. Alright, there it is. Attach this, and then we're going to use Ultra Ball to get our Orbeetle. And I'll just go ahead and discard these two, because it's too late for us to put it back to the deck at this point. So we're just going to go with whatever we have in the deck. So we got our Orbeetle, use Rare Candy to evolve. We have 4 energies attached to Orbeetle. Now we can use Evomancy and set up 4 Stage 2 Pokemon in our bench. We only have access to 1 Magnezone, but that's all we need. It's just as long as we can continue to survive attacks, that's all we need. And that's what I mean with Magnezone EX. It's such an awesome card. It's just so bulky, so hard to get knocked out, and all it requires 1 energy to deal a huge amount of damage. So with this setup, we're pretty good. We have Gallade that we can access another Raihan, accelerate energy to Magnezone EX, and find another card from our deck. We also have Beautifly as an option. We can just draw extra cards until we draw into our basic lightning energies to power up our Magnezone EX, and of course Garganacl to continue to heal up our Pokemon. So they managed to set up another Gardevoir, this time the Shining Arcana Gardevoir. That one also has a potential to deal a huge amount of damage, but it's going to take a lot to knock out our Magnezone EX. So with Path to the Peak in play, it is going to be difficult for them to recover any of their Pokemon though, because once we knock out this Zacian V, especially with Boss's Orders available to us, we could just knock it out and we don't have to worry about any other Pokemon that can deal huge amount of damage to deal a one-hit knockout against our Magnezone EX. So they're going to take another knockout against our Orbeetle this time, but now we're just going to present our Magnezone EX in the active spot, and I will have to take out this Zacian V. Another Boss's Orders, there it is. But I'm going to go ahead and use Beautifly first. Maybe we can draw into an energy. Reversal energy doesn't work on Magnezone. And we should have another Raihan in the deck, right? So I'm going to go ahead and use Buddy Catch. There's the Raihan. I could use Iono too, but it's not a guarantee. But I will use Arven instead. We have access to Energy Search, and then I'll get Vitality Band to increase our damage output even further by 10 more damage. So I'm gonna go with Display. This is one way to search out your energy And then, yeah, we can just deal 310 damage to their Zacian V. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energies, 310 damage with that increased attack thanks to the Vitality Band as well. So yeah, Magnezone EX is super strong for just a single energy. It's insane. So there's our first knockout, getting us 2 more prizes. And yeah, I think Vitality Band is so good. It really depends on your deck, but it's really nice, especially with Luxray when you're starting off with it. There are a lot of supporter Pokemon that starts with like 60 HP, so you can get those easy knockouts by just using Luxray's attack and getting an extra prize on your first turn. But you have to use that wisely, because sometimes you do want to get behind on prizes. That way you can use Reversal Energy. But if you have another way to get around that, I think having that extra knockout at the beginning of the game, especially if your opponent has the potential to get multiple prizes at the same time, catching up on the price exchange could be very useful. So let's see what my opponent does. My Path to the Peak is sticking, so I think Path to the Peak is so awesome, man. It's such a strong card. I know there's a lot of builds that rely on abilities. So you got new VMAX builds. You have this Gardevoir EX builds, Ting-Lu EX, which we just beat, and many more. Lugia V-Star also relies on an ability. So Path to the Peak, as long as it sticks, it's a really powerful card to have in your deck. And since Magnezone EX does not have any abilities, it actually just can stick there, and we're not affected by it in any way. So with no chance for my opponent to accelerate energies to their Gardevoir EX, they could get stuck, and they are behind on price. I wonder if that reversal energy will count as 3 energies, so 3, 4, 5. So we could very well be hitting for 260 damage. But I'm just gonna boss this Gardevoir. I think it'll be safer for us to do that. And see if I can buddy catch. I could use Iono, get another lightning energy, and just get a knockout. Because energy catch 200, yeah. Oh, it does count as psychic energy. Look at that. Okay. So I'm just gonna use Energy Crush. So there's the answer to that question, guys. Depending on how many energies your opponent has in play. So there are 3 attached. However, that reversal energy acted as 3 instead of 1. So that made it possible for us to attack for 260 damage. That is crazy. So we need 2 more prizes here. We could just take out this Gardevoir EX for the win, but I think Path to the Peak just did most of the work here. And yeah, Magnezone EX is is so strong. It just can deal a lot of damage for a single lightning energy. At most, my opponent can deal 190 damage against our Magnezone EX. And we can just continue to plow through their health until we knock it out. Unless they have some type of healing cards in their deck, we might have this. And if they don't have any energies in their hand, we're just gonna chip away at their Gardevoir EX until we knock it out. And we can preserve our boss's orders, so if they end up retreating their active, we can just boss it to the active and knock it out for our last 2 prizes. So we have pretty much this game in the bag. 4 prizes that my opponent has to catch up to. It's a long way, and they can't even attack, bro. I think that's just game. That's pretty much game. I could attack with Pulse Launcher. I think that's dealing more damage now than Energy Crush. Yeah. So we're just gonna attack with Pulse Launcher, and we're gonna heal up our damage here. And it requires is one more hit to knock out their Gardevoir EX for game. Just a matter of time. So there you have it, guys. Magnezone EX is super strong. You notice how we just set up one, and thanks to Path to the Peak as well, you pretty much own this matchup, no problem. And I would rate this as one of my top builds with Orbeetle, Magnezone EX. So my opponent is going to attack with Miracle Force, dealing 190 damage. But that's going to be game. So we don't really need to set up any further here. We're just going to attack with Pulse Launcher, dealing a knockout blow, knocking out their Gardevoir EX for the win. So this is a pretty nice showcase, especially with Path to the Peak. So good game to my opponent. Alright, we win the coin flip, and as always, we are going first, but we're going to mulligan here. And don't worry too much about mulligans. Remember guys, we have an Iono in this deck. Even if your opponent manages to draw into a lot of cards at the beginning of the game, you always have that option of using Iono to reshuffle their hand back to the deck. I'm going to inspect my board here. I have Luxray, Basic Energy. I think this is a pretty solid start. Yeah, I think I'm going to start with this one. So, of course, we're going to start with the Luxray. We have our Basic Energy. No Pokemon search card to start, but that should be okay. Dude, we got a Blipbug. Okay, I will take that. And I'm going to attach a double Turbo Energy on Blipbug. And I'm just going to end my turn. I think this is a pretty solid start since we're not going to be able to attack on until our second turn anyway. So having that double Turbo Energy on Blipbug is a good start. We're just going to attach a Lightning Energy on Luxray. And we're going to search for our rare candy and maybe an Ultra Ball. But we also have access to our hand, so we could also use that to search for that later. And we have Reversal Energy already. So it's going to... we can use that to increase our energy count. Okay, so we have an Iono. I could even use this, but let's see. Could use Seeking Fang, just deal 50 damage. And then... Alright, we will still need to set up a bunch of stuff here. One rare candy available. Okay, one is prized, so that's very important. And I could go for Vitality Band. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Vitality Band. We can deal a knockout blow here, and if they don't set up any other basic Pokemon on their bench, we pretty much have this game. Palkia V. I think this is Baxcalibur with Chien-Pao. So Chien-Pao, of course, is free in PTCGL. So I think all players. That's why it's very common in the format right now. Just because it's very accessible. It's a very strong deck, actually. Especially with Irida in the mix. They can just easily evolve their Pokemon to Baxcalibur, like what my opponent just did here. And if they have a bunch of water energies, they can easily accelerate those to their water type Pokemon. Alright, so they can even knock out our Luxray with their Palkia V. Yeah, there it is, 200 damage, knocking out our Luxray, but now we can use our right hand and just jam-pack a bunch of stage 2 on our bench. This is pretty crazy, guys. So here you have it. First hand, you will see the power of Orbeetle on our second turn. Or is this our third turn? Yeah, this is our third turn. But that's okay. It makes up for all of the stage 2 that you would otherwise have to set up for multiple turns. So Reversal Energy. We have 6 energies. It's more than enough what we need, but we needed to do that for us to use right hand. So Eva Mincy, we're gonna get 2 Magnezone for sure, 2 Garganacl, and our Gallade. That's gonna help us find our supporter cards. So there you have it, guys. 2 Garganacl to heal a bunch of HPs up to 40 or even 80 in between turns before it gets back to us. And all we need to do is search for our energies, and their Palkia V is actually weak against lightning, so we have an advantage against this one. Chien-Pao, on the other hand, is weak against metal, I think. So, but that one we can actually use just Pulse Launcher and knock it out. So it's not gonna be that hard for us to get 6 prizes by knocking out 3 of their Pokemon. But we do have to watch out for their Chien-Pao EX. It's the one that can deal a lot of damage. And with the retreat, thanks to the skater park, they can just put those energies instead of discarding them when they retreat. Just put those back to their hand. So, do they have what it takes to knock out... Well, they can definitely knock out Orbeetle, but we can retaliate by getting a knockout with our Magnezone EX. So one of the strategies that I have against Chien-Pao EX is if they don't have multiple Baxcalibur, I just pretty much target their Baxcalibur and just knock out their main engine, and they can't attack for huge amount with Chien-Pao if they cannot accelerate water energy. So that's the plan, but for now we're just gonna use Buddy Catch and ensure that we have an energy to our Magnezone EX. So we're going to use right hand to accelerate an energy here. And then I could get another lightning energy. That way I can use Pulse Launcher. And that should be enough to knock out their Chien-Pao EX. I'll just put a Vitality Band on my other Magnezone EX. That will increase it by 10. And I'll try and set up another Orbeetle line just in case anything weird happens. So I'm just gonna use Pulse Launcher here, dealing 220 damage, but we're gonna fully heal thanks to our 2 Garganacls, and we get 2 prizes for that. Very nice. Okay, good. So yeah, Magnezone EX is pretty good. And again, we're gonna heal back up here, and I don't think their Palkia V-Star, even if they evolve here, can deal any serious damage. And they don't have any Pokemon on their bench either, other than Baxcalibur, so it's not even hitting for a lot of damage. Now all we have to do is just heal our Magnezone EX back up. We have a switch. I can also just stall by using Garganacl to heal it while we use the other Magnezone to attack. So that's another option. One card though that will disrupt this setup is Avery. I gotta say that. Avery is such a nuisance against this Orbeetle build. But other than that, I think you should be pretty much safe. But if you have a minimal, like this Magnezone EX, you actually don't need to fill up your bench with a bunch of other supporter to make it work. It's just really strong on its own. So my opponent deals 200 damage. We're gonna heal back 40 of that, 80 to be exact, because after this turn we're gonna heal 40 more HP. Another switch. Okay, I think we might just go with that plan by switching to my other Magnezone, but that way we can preserve that energy so we don't have to use Cheryl. And yeah, 420 damage. Energy Crush, that's all we needed. There you go. Palkia V-Star is so weak against lightning. Is that we don't need a lot to actually knock it out, which is pretty insane. Meantime, our Magnezone EX is recovering on the bench, slowly but surely. And that's why Garganacl is such an awesome card. It is a stage 2, but it's so usable in an Orbeetle build. It's insane. It is insane. That's why I love Orbeetle so much. It's just it makes a lot of stage 2 playable. You know, I'm not gonna say that Orbeetle builds are going to be competitive at any point in time. Maybe it could, but if you are able to set up your stage 2s, it is pretty insane. It's so much fun. It allows you to play a lot of the stage 2 that would otherwise be playable on a regular, you know, evolution setup. Because, you know, Lost Zone. Just pretty much knock out a lot of your basic Pokemon that's so easy to knock out. And then Sableye can just spread its damage. And I've actually gotten a counter to the Lost Box. It's by using the Bravery Charm. So as long as you can put Bravery Charm on one of your Blipbug, the Radiant Greninja can't knock out 2 of your Blipbugs. One will have to survive. And we also have that Bravery Charm will also allow us to survive at least 1 attack if they spread damage with Sableye. Unfortunately, my opponent gets enough energy to get a knockout against our full HP Magnezone. That's why I never underestimate Chien-Pao. But we're just gonna use Pulse Launcher here to get a knockout, getting our last 2 prizes. Easy peasy, man. There's no sweat to this match at all. There you have it, guys. Magnezone EX in an Orbeetle build is awesome. Try it out. It's awesome, man. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to smash the like button for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching the Popsicleknight channel, and as always, stay safe and have a great day.